Austin Atmosphere kind of put it perfectly. He does have a point.
Answers to special issues. Special issue number 1, whether there is a probability that the defendant would commit criminal acts of violence that would constitute a continuing threat to society. The answer, we, the jury, unanimously find beyond a reasonable doubt that the answer to special issue number 1 is yes, signed by the presiding juror. Special issue number 2, whether taking into consideration all the evidence, including the circumstances of the offense, the defendant's character and background, and the personal moral culpability of the defendant, there is a sufficient mitigating circumstance or circumstances to warrant that a sentence of life imprisonment without parole rather than a death sentence be imposed. Answer, we, the jury, unanimously find that the answer to special issue number 2 is no, signed by the presiding juror. Does either side desire a poll?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Anderson, Mr. Goebel, is there any legal reason why sentence should not be pronounced?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Horner, if you'd stand, please. It's the order of the court that you, Tanner Lynn Horner, has been adjudged to be guilty of the offense of capital murder as found by the jury. Jury having answered the special issues, making it mandatory that your punishment be death, it is therefore the order of this court that your punishment be death. Before the hour of sunrise on a date to be determined by this court, upon a mandate of affirmance issued by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals at the State Penitentiary in Huntsville, Texas, you will be caused to die in accordance with the rules and regulations established by the Texas Department of Criminal Justice until you, said Tanner Horner, are dead. Said execution procedure shall be determined and supervised by the Director of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. The clerk of this court shall issue a death warrant in accordance with this sentence directed to the Director of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for that purpose. Clerk shall deliver such warrant to the sheriff of this county and to be by him delivered to the Director of the Department of Criminal Justice together with you, and you will remand to the custody of the Tarrant County Jail to await transfer.
This guy didn't even flinch when they just told him that he would be sentenced to death for the death of little, the horrific murder of little Athena Strand.
Transportation to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice at Huntsville, Texas, and the execution of this sentence. I will sign this death sentence as required by law. Your appeal of the finding of this guilt by the jury and their determination of the answers to the question in the sentence are automatically appealed to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals in Austin, Texas. You will be appointed a lawyer to represent you on direct appeal, and your lawyer will receive a copy of the record of this case at no charge. You have the right to have a second lawyer to represent you on writs of habeas corpus. It's a separate matter from your direct appeal. Do you wish to have counsel appointed for your writ purposes? Okay, then I will appoint you writ lawyers for that. Ms. Anderson, Mr. Goebel, if you will remain on his case pending his decision, and we have all the appellate paperwork filled out, I have received his acknowledgement certification of the right to.
I've heard enough. I've heard enough. Tanner Horner, you are scum. So let me just back this up. If anyone hasn't been paying attention to this case, Tanner Horner has just been recently found guilty and sentenced to death by the judge in Fort Worth. I forget the judge's name, but he's been sentenced to the death penalty for the gruesome, heinous murder of a sweet 7-year-old by the name of Athena Strand in a rural area out in North Texas, I believe near Dallas or near Fort Worth, same area. He was a FedEx driver delivering a Christmas present around late November of 2022. It was a gift that was going to be for Athena for Christmas, a Barbie set of some sort. Somehow, this maniac sicko encountered this little girl and grabbed her and put her in the back of a van and murdered her. And I'm not going to get into the details about what he did and this and that. You know, you can look up the story, but the judge, he's been found guilty and the judge has sentenced him to death. And I don't think I'm alone. I think I echo a lot of the sentiments. In fact, I know that I do. I've seen some of the comments and commentary on this. I think what people are saying is it shouldn't take 20 years. He shouldn't be able to get, 3 squares a day, rest, thinking, chilling. And this is where we're not God, right? I think this is where our human emotions kick in. As people that have daughters and nieces and women in our lives and friends, children, we all, and just being a human, a decent human being, this is heinous. Now he's claimed that, he's found God, and I hope he has. And I hope that God can, he's found God in a real way. God forgives in ways that we can't understand. But on this side of heaven, there's penalties to pay. And his penalty is going to be lethal injection by the state of Texas, unless some of his roommates, i.e., some of the other um, cellmates, get to him first. And I don't think I'd be lying if I said that would make me sad. This man was a monster to that poor little girl. He showed no mercy on her, and I don't think anyone should show mercy on him other than God, right? God forgives, he can forgive. This guy is a piece of, you know, I I don't think he should be able to, but that's me. This isn't the court of Austin, right? This is the court, the state of Texas, and God will be ultimately the judge. But this guy's a monster, man. I just think that good riddance, get him off the street. And that little girl didn't get to have her birthdays, and she didn't get to have, you know, her Christmas and the rest of her life that he took away in that family that's going through everything. I don't feel bad for this guy, not in the least bit, not even a little bit. Um, And I know they tried to say, oh, this guy had his mom was drinking while she was pregnant with him, and he had fetal alcohol syndrome. And, she went through sexual assault herself, and they basically said, oh, he had a bad, rough childhood, and people wouldn't be friends with him in school. And so, you know, listen, we all have it rough in some capacities, right? Some have it rougher than others. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. I don't care what you went through as a child. I know hurt people, but it still doesn't excuse you from the law. It still doesn't absolve you from justice. You're still not able to just do what you want because you had a rough childhood. And I don't like when people say, oh, it's mental health. Listen, if you have the type of mental health that will cause you to hurt others, you still need to be off the street. I'm not saying I'm not anti-mental health. When people are always saying, oh, but mental health this and mental health that, that's fine. Mental health I understand people need to get their mental health taken care of. It doesn't absolve you from being a civilized human being. You will get what's coming to you. You will get what's coming to you when you do things like this in society. You don't belong in society when your mental health is so poor, it's conditioned to the point to where you're ready to hurt someone, a child, anyone, but especially a child. You should be out of society. You don't belong here with the rest of us if you're going through such a mental health crisis that it makes you want to hurt children. You're not fit for society. Good for the judge. Good, and I'm gonna look up the judge's name. I want to see what was the judge that sentenced him, because I want to say good to the judge. Let me see here. Let me see what was the name of that judge. Judge George Gallagher sentenced him to be executed before sunrise on a date later to be determined in Huntsville. Judge Gallagher, kudos to you, sir. Your honor. Thank you, Judge. Let's get this monster off the street. No one will miss him. I know, and I don't want to say no one. Maybe he's got family that are able to look past this. That's not most of us, right? So kudos to you, Your Honor, Judge George Gallagher, for getting this monster, Tanner Horner, the sentence handed down that he needs. That's true justice for Athena Strand. It's not the best justice. Obviously, the best justice would be if you could bring her back and she would still be here, right? Um, but it's the only justice that's left. So again, kudos to you, Judge George Gallagher, for handing down the sentence on Tanner Horner, giving him a sentence to be executed in Texas so that he can't hurt any more children, any more little girls have to worry about this particular monster. There's still other monsters out there. And we have to be vigilant, and we have to watch our children And it makes you squeeze your kids just a little bit tighter, your loved ones just a little bit tighter when you hear about heinous monsters like this that will harm children right before Christmas. You're supposed to be delivering her gift and you kidnap her and put her in the back of a van. What a monster. Don't try to use saying that you found God as an excuse. Good. You may have found God. That's great. But there are still consequences on this earth for what you did. And Judge George Gallagher got it right. This guy needs to be off the streets. Rest in heaven, Athena Strand. And good riddance to this guy, scum of the earth, Tanner Horner. Good riddance. Hopefully, it'll be swift, and it won't take decades of taxpayer dollars. Um, and condolences to the family. And love your loved ones, love your children, watch them, even out there in rural areas. In the city, we're a little bit on edge when people come anyway. We're always, I know it's easy to, and even still, you can get kind of comfortable in your community. Be vigilant, watch your kids. We live in some sick, wicked times, and you know, monsters exist, but God is good. So this guy's gonna get what's coming to him. Let me know what you think. It's your boy, Austin.
Austin Atmosphere, but kind of put it perfectly. He does have a point.